כאן טילים, באלוהים. יש כאן טילים. רואים טילים? עירותים! עירותים! וואלה, עירותים. איזה מסיבה. וואלה, טילים, באמא שלי. טילים. צבע אדום, מודיעין, צבע אדום. כמה עירותים. הנה עירות. מה זה? אני במסיבה, נופל עלינו טילים.
G'day legends, I hope that you are having a fantastic day. Now, some disappointing news from today was what I've been working on is trying to get my press credentials, whatever, sorted in Israel. I am internationally recognised under the International Federation of Journalists and some other bodies around the world, but sadly after a week of waiting, I won't be accredited in Israel because I'm not on an assignment from what they say is an official media outlet like Channel 7, Channel 10, one of those, that because I own the company I work for and doing it, I'm not like on assignment, so therefore I won't be accredited here. So it has put my future of working in a little bit of limbo for how it actually goes and continuing. If there is a ground invasion, what access, what will I actually be able to do? But that is very disappointing for the independent journalists working here, as I believe we do the best and most honest work because we don't have to, you know, abide by anyone's rules or managers or whatever. So, but that is just what it is, and we'll continue to work around that. And thank you for all your support in making independent journalism really work and accessible for people.
אנחנו היינו במסיבה.
We're at the party there.
באזור 6:30.
Around 6:30 in the morning, he was jumping. What was you were enjoying yourself? אתה נהנית שם סתם כבן אדם?
זה היה פסטיבל שאמור להיות כמו באזורה.
It was meant to be an amazing musical festival on Simchat Torah. Thousands of people there, and he was filming.
זה אירוע טרנס שנחשב בין הטובים במדינה.
One of the best in the state, part trance, part music, all together.
כולם שמחו
Everyone's
ונהנו.
happy and they're enjoying themselves.
ראית פשוט את כל האנשים מחייכים.
Everyone's enjoying themselves. That's all right.
באזור 6:42.
At 6:42 in the morning,
התחלנו לראות
they
טילים.
started to see the rockets coming over.
אנשים מרוב שהם שתו וחלק נדלקו.
Some people were a little bit tipsy and didn't understand exactly what was flying.
לא הבינו את האירוע,
They
חשבו
didn't
זה
quite understand what was
זיקוקים.
happening that was going on. They thought it was maybe fireworks. Didn't realize ultimately the rockets going over.
אנשים גם לא נרתעו, כי זה לגיטימי שנופל כאן טילים, ואנחנו
People in the
בשטח
area were
מוגן.
used to the fact that there are missiles, and not everyone ran for their lives when there were missiles because it was overhead going somewhere else. Unfortunately, they've become numb and used to the rockets.
שתי חברים הלכו לכיוון האוטו.
Two of his friends went straight away to the car, ומה קרה להם?
הם הלכו לכיוון האוטו, ואז חבר אומר לי, לך תקפל את הציוד, אי אפשר לחזור, המשטרה לא מסכימה לחזור. כאילו, תלכו לבית.
Two of his friends went to a car while he was told to start packing up because the police weren't going to allow people to come back. At this stage, they didn't know there were terrorists that were there. מתי המחבלים הגיעו?
2 דקות אחרי אני מקבל שיחה מחבר, בוא מהר לאוטו, יש כאן יריות.
2 minutes afterwards, his friends called him from the car, quickly come to the car, there's shooting.
רגע, חכה שנייה. אני מקבל שיחה, ישר עוזב את הדברים, מגיע לכיוון האוטו.
He goes straight away to the car. תמשיך לדבר כל הזמן, זה בסדר.
ישר מגיע לכיוון האוטו, עמדה שם מזדה כחולה, שאומרת לי, יש שם יריות.
There was a blue Mazda standing on the side there, telling everyone to
תפנה שמאלה.
to go left.
אני ישר נוסע במהירות
He's already in the car,
מטורפת,
he's driving like a crazy man going left,
אחרי האודי לכיוון הכביש הראשי.
going towards the main road. In the meantime, בינתיים יש יריות אנשים, אתה רואה
כן,
אנשים נופלים משהו?
רואה אנשים שממש...
In the meantime, he's seeing people that are being shot by machine guns and people just falling around. He quickly takes a turn to the left,
הגעתי לכיוון הכביש הראשי, בא לפנות שמאלה,
gets to the main road and tries to turn left.
רואה רכב איילקס לבנה,
And then he sees a white car,
מתחיל לרסס אנשים לכל הכיוונים.
just mowing people down indiscriminately everywhere. He has a machine gun in this white, must have been some type of
עם
10
קלשניקוב, עם...
with a Kalashnikov and just firing everywhere indiscriminately at all people that were just trying to run and to move away.
אני עושה פרסה,
He quickly does a U-turn,
קולט אוטו עם מג ממולי, מתחיל לרסס אותי.
and then from the other side he sees another one with some type of big weapon that was shooting in his car from the other side.
אני מקבל המון יריות לאוטו.
His car gets totally blown apart. Was אף אחד לא נפגע מן הסתם?
לא, אני מקבל המון יריות לאוטו, עוד בזה, ישר דפקתי פרסה, האוטו בגלל שהוא קיבל המון יריות הפסיק לעבוד.
The car automatically stopped because it had a number of bullets that hit the car. It stopped automatically.
אני פותח את הדלתות
Quickly
ואומר
gets out of the
לכולם
car. היו אנשים אחרים
לצאת.
מאחורה? 3 אנשים מאחורה, מי ישב אצלך?
עוד 3 חברים.
There were 3 other people in the car. The car stopped moving. He quickly gets out.
כולם לצאת,
Everyone
האוטו
rushes
לא
out.
עובד,
ואז-
האוטו לא
אז
עובד
מה אתם
מהיריות. יוצאים, חברה טובה, חטפה שוק ונשארה באוטו.
One of the people in the car couldn't move. She was frozen. She was in total shock and stayed in the car. The others quickly get out and התחלתם לרוץ, מה?
ואז אני צועק לחבר, איפה יובל? איפה יובל?
Starts screaming to a friend, where's your veil, where's your veil, a friend of his.
כן, הגיע שוטר,
A policeman
הגן
comes,
עלינו,
protected them as they were going out.
חבר הלך, הוציא אותה מהאוטו, תוך כדי שהוא מוציא אותה מהאוטו, השוטר חוטף ירייה ונופל.
Takes the girl out of the car that was frozen. As he does that, the policeman, he shot himself.
עמדנו ממש 150 מטר מהקרב יריות,
They're about 150 meters from the people that are shooting in these vehicles,
במשך 6 שעות,
around 6 hours.
רק מתחת לעץ.
And they were under a tree. They went to the side in a tree while the policemen are fighting these... policemen are fighting. This is a picture of him under the tree.
שלי היה 2%
You had 2%
בבטריה.
less of the battery. Was anyone killed? מישהו נפגע
לא,
מהאוטו?
אבל אנחנו שומעים את כל היריות,
They hear all the
ממש.
firing
הנה.
that's all around them. They're hiding in the bush when they left the car and they ran out. The policeman was killed. They got the girl out. האישה שהייתה שם גם ניצלה.
כן, אבל השוטר נהרג.
But the policeman was the only one at that particular car that was saved.
הנה, כאן שומעים ממש את היריות מהכביש הראשי.
You can hear that they're hiding, but you can still hear from the main road the shooting which is taking place around them for those few hours.
את הפיצוצים,
ואז מה קרה בה?
הנה,
ואז מה
יש
קרה?
כאן
הבנתי.
הבזק של...
ואז מה קרה לכם? איך יצאתם אחרי באיזה שלב? הרגו את המחבלים?
אחרי רק 6 שעות שכל שנייה אנחנו חושבים שאנחנו הולכים
They
למות.
were there for 6 hours. They thought they were going to die anytime. They had no idea what was happening with the fight between the policemen and anyone else that came to help with the Hamas terrorists.
הגיע האוטו של הימ"מ ואמר כל
Eventually, the
מי
Army, a secret, a special unit, they eventually came, the backup, wiped out all the Arab
כל מי
terrorists.
שבאזור
And anyone
שיגיע.
who was in the area, they quickly called out on the loudspeaker after they managed to get rid of the terrorists, and then הם הצילו אתכם.
באנו לצאת לכיוון בחוץ
They came to
וכמעט
take out?
השוטר מהצד שלנו ירה עליי
למה?
כי הוא לא הבין, כאילו,
And there
כי הוא
was-
חשב שכל שנייה יש מחבל.
There's a major balagan that was happening at this time because no one knew who's an Arab, who's a terrorist, and there were people coming out of the brush, and at one point even some of the policemen, they weren't even sure about who was coming out of the brush, and they had to be careful even from that particular perspective. But after 6 hours, אחרי 6 שעות, יצאתם משם,
כן.
כל ארבעתכם,
3, אני נשארתי, אני, יובל ויוני, ועוד אחד חשבנו שהוא
והאישה?
מת. כן, עוד אחד, מרוב שירו עלינו בדרך, הוא פנה לכיוון אחר, והתקשר אלינו ואמר, תעשו טובה, תשארו בחיים, יורים עליי, שיהיה לכם בהצלחה, להתראות שלום.
ונהרג?
לא, בסוף 4 חזרנו, אבל
At the end, this particular group of friends managed to survive.
אנחנו פנינו ימינה, הוא
They went-
פנה
It's
שמאלה
a matter
בגלל
of
שאמרו
who's
להם.
going right and left. this group of trees, that group of trees. In the meantime, the special units came in, they killed the hostages, and after 6 hours plus minus, the 4 of them have got a story to tell, as they're telling you, and they survived.
It's no English.
Fortunately, there were 265 that weren't exactly the same type of ending as we know.
כלפינו, אני לא חושב שהפלסטינים, כאילו, כל אחד הוא אויב שלנו, אבל יש...
Not all the Palestinian Arabs are our enemy, but there's a lot of incitement. ולכן, this is not a regular incident or attack by Arabs.
אנחנו אמורים להיות מוגנים ולא לחשוב שיורים עלינו.
We have to be totally protected and never have a situation that we should be scared about someone who's shooting at us.
אנשים יצאו בסך הכל למסיבה.
People just went out to have a good time and enjoy themselves at a festival.
וחצי מהחברים שדיברתי איתם בלילה הם לא חזרו פשוט לבית.
And half the friends that he spoke to just didn't return that night. That's not something that should take place. ולכן, לפי השאלה שלו, מה צה"ל צריך לעשות כנגד חמאס?
מה צריך לעשות כנגד חמאס? כל מי שקשור לזרוע,
Anyone who is connected to Hamas, to the military of Hamas,
אפילו כל מי שהמחבלים עצמם שנמצאים אפילו בכלא,
even someone that is in jail,
שפגעו באנשים ישראלים,
hurt any Israeli, that killed, maimed any Israeli,
מגיע להם מוות.
death. They deserve nothing short of death.
ואסור לטפל בהם. הוא הגיע להרוג אותי.
We shouldn't be treating them. They deserve death. The people involved in this massacre, they need to be killed.
שאני חף מפשע רק בגלל שאני יהודי.
I am my crime being that I'm a Jew.
צריך פשוט לחסל אותם.
We have to just wipe them out, annihilate them.
ואנחנו צריכים לחיות במדינה בשקט וברוגע.
And with calmness.
Thank you.
Did he witness any of these atrocities of the rapes, the burnings?
He wasn't there.
Wasn't there for that?
No.
After?
The people from the music party didn't start walking around the settlements.
Yeah.
No. הוא שאל, אני עניתי לו, אני אמרתי, אתה לא היית אחר כך, לא נכנסת לבארי לראות את הזוועות.
ראיתי בדרך המון זוועות. הורידו אותנו,
What he did here,
המשטרה הורידה אותנו בתחנת דלק.
Because he was dropped off afterwards at a petrol station. So on the way they did see bodies. ראיתם גופות.
ראינו גופות, שיצאנו ראינו גופות. הבנתי שהמשטרה שחזרה הלוך חזור להביא ניצולים שלנו, המון משם שראיתי אותם שחילצו אותי, הם גם מתו בטווח אחרי.
Some of the soldiers that came in and out, or the police that went in and out to try and save people, they themselves were killed, but he didn't see directly any of the barbarous, atrocities that took place inside the actual settlements and kibbutzim.
Does he believe this event has changed him as a person?
אתה חושב שהאירוע הזה שינה אותך כבן אדם ואת המדינה?
את המדינה אני לא חושב, אני חושב, הנה, אני התחלתי לשים כיפה, זה לא משהו שלפני 3 ימים הייתי עם המון שיער.
A few days ago he had long hair and he was at this music festival, and today he's got maybe another level of belief in God, and he cut his hair and he's put a head covering.
ועל באמת הייתה לנו שם השגחה פרטית שאי אפשר להסביר אותה.
The miracles and the supervision of God over him, and therefore he's made that spiritual adjustment to his own life.
הם הגיעו פשוט לרצוח עם תחמושת,
with the intent to kill with enough ammunition.
תחמושת כמו של גדוד שלם.
Like a whole brigade. They came packed with weaponry to kill and maim as many Jews as possible.
אני הייתי לוחם בצבא.
He was a fighter in the army.
ואפילו בשבוע שאנחנו מתאמנים,
even in the week that they trained where they need lots of ammunition,
גדוד שלם לא פירקנו ככה תחמושת.
Whole brigade didn't have the amount of ammunition and let off firing like these Arab
מקלעים, צלפים, רימונים, קלצ'ניקוב,
Kalashnikovs, grenades, and they were just throwing and shooting, and it's something that is going to stay with him for a long time.
פשוט רק להרוג אותך בגלל שאתה יהודי.
Just to shoot and kill only because he is a Jew, because those were Jews.
He said that he was in the military. Will he go back and fight?
אמרת שאתה היית בצבא, זה אומר שאתה צריך לחזור להילחם באיזשהו שלב במילואים, או אתה מעבר לזה?
כרגע בגלל שחוויתי דברים.
Because he has experienced certain things now that he's just gone through, he hasn't been called up to the army at this point in time.
אני מעדיף לטפל בנפש שלי ולהגן על המדינה שלי.
That he has had, and he'll do other things to help protect the state, but he's not ready from an emotional, psychological angle to go out to war and to be relied upon in the army. So he's not going to the army at this point in time.
הנה, 1 minute. הנה, זה אני בתור...
That's him when he was in his better days as an army soldier before this nightmare, before this barbaric attack. And it wasn't just a knife, if I can add something. It wasn't just, something that went through for him and his few friends. This was an attack on the Jewish people around the world. This was a knife through the Jewish world. And that's why we stand united and together. And for a good reason, the logo for this war is "Together we will be victorious," because this was an attack on the Jewish world, all the way from Melbourne, Australia, to Ottawa, Canada.
זה יכל להיגמר בהרבה יותר אסון.
Could have ended up even being worse if not for the bravery and the quick reaction. Yes, we were taken off guard, but if not for the quick action of some of the special units of the police, individual families, and even the police that were there, we were taken off guard, and that will be investigated. But the response so quickly, there's over 1,500 Arab terrorists that we've been, whose bodies are inside Israel that were killed. The response from various units was phenomenal, and the bravery is to the heavens.
כי רוב המסיבות בישראל הן לא מאושרות. והיה שם נס שהמסיבה הייתה מאושרת.
He's saying that most of the parties in Israel of a similar nature, these music festivals, don't necessarily need all these approvals and don't need any police or people that are there. But in this particular case, they also got permission and there were police that were there, so they weren't totally without. The massacre would have been even worse if there was no policeman there whatsoever. At least there was someone there to... how many people? כמה אנשים היו שם?
אבל שוטר...
כמה אנשים היו שם לך?
3,000, 4,000.
3,000 people that were there in the very beginning.
אבל שוטר עם אקדח עם 15 קליעים לא יכול לעשות שום דבר מול
a policeman with 15 bullets compared to the ammunition that was there with machine guns, Kalashnikovs, grenades, RPGs. I mean, as he said earlier, this was more than a brigade. This was something phenomenal.
אנשים, אזרחים, אחרי שהשוטרים הפילו אותם, הם היו צריכים לקחת את הנשקים שלהם ולהרוג אותם.
Something that they managed to do at least was to, the policemen managed to grab something, they used some of the weapons of when they killed some of the Hamas terrorists, they actually used a lot of their weapons to keep on fighting more of the terrorists, because no one knows for sure, but anything from more than 2,500, Arabs, and not just terrorists. Everyday people came in and they looted and they killed and they did things. This is not just the 50,000 terrorists from Hamas. There is a very, very big support system. There's even people in the PA that support it. There's people that speak about giving them money for their families. There's a very big support system that needs to be dealt with also here.
הצבא והמשטרה למשך כמה שעות פשוט לא היו שם.
Unfortunately, there were too many hours that the army wasn't there, and it relied on a few individuals to do what had to be done to save most of the people at this music festival. Tov, I think I exhausted it.
שיגעתי אותך גם, אני פשוט...
There has been some big things come out over the past 24 hours. Now, the biggest one is the hospital strike in Gaza. Now, there's a lot of misinformation about this. There's a lot of information coming out about this. What do we actually know? Well, it was initially reported by the world's media as an Israeli Air Force attack. And then over the coming hours from that, it really snowballed all this because we know that President Biden from the US was meeting the Prime Minister of Israel today. And of course, this strike happened last night. Initially with this, what we thought it could have been was that it was targeted by some sort of JDAM missile. But with the photos that came out, it definitely doesn't seem to be that it was a small crater in the ground of the parking lot in the front of the hospital from there. So disproving that it was one of those larger bombs, as well as there has been some footage come out somewhat showing that there was a Hamas rocket that misfired and maybe hit the parking lot and has killed a number of people. Now, last night, the numbers were being reported of 500 to 1,000 people were killed in that strike at the hospital, being primarily civilians. Now those numbers have come significantly down. It does look like it had landed in the car park, and people have said that it had hit things like gas tanks and oxygen tanks providing the hospital from there and made a larger explosion. So as far as 100%, I'm not 100% on any of this unless I see it with my own eye. But from the damage we have seen, there has been a lot of doubts that it's going to be 500 to 1,000 people injured in that strike in a parking lot later in the evening as well. From the crater in the ground, doesn't look like that big of an explosion. That said, the civilian casualties in this are horrific. One civilian casualty is too many casualties, and it is a shocking situation. But one of the big reasons that I am, of course, leading that it was a Hamas rocket was the Israeli Air Force, Israeli Defence Force has nothing to gain from a strike like that. Now, I also would criticise Israeli Defence Force for some of these strikes in residential areas that have caused massive collateral damage. We're getting reports out of Gaza that there has been 1,000 children killed. To put that into perspective, the 19-month campaign from Russia in Ukraine, causing a war there, has killed in the mid-500s of children, where this has been going on for 11 days. So of course I'll criticise that going on, but with this, the Israeli Air Force has nothing to benefit from that. We had Biden coming today, striking a hospital. That would just be the worst bloody thing possible for PR, especially as, I guess, the world, the Twitter sort of winds up and it's sort of moving, I guess, from all the support of Israel into more criticism as this goes on, and we see this bombing campaign go on from there. There was even some speculation that it could have been some level of false flag when Biden was coming in to raise doubts around Israel's further campaign. But I will show some of those photographs here as well. Tensions in the north of the country, which we spoke about yesterday with Hezbollah, they are increasing dramatically. Now, we have had word today that an Israeli Merkava tank was taken out by an ATGM, an anti-tank guided munition, and that the crew was killed. But that is not confirmed. But a lot of the soldiers we talk to, the people we talk to who are operating up in the north, do say those ATGMs are a huge issue for cars, troops and tanks, meaning that there are many strikes. Now, only yesterday that Hezbollah announced a day of unprecedented anger against Israel, with, of course, the embassy of Iran saying that the time is up for the Al-Aqsa flood. So they're talking about the Islamic Jihad from there as well. We know, of course, Iran is supporting Hezbollah a lot, and then Hezbollah into Hamas, that it's all tied in, and we could see a further attack go on from there if forces were tied up in the south here in the sort of awaited ground offensive. Although, like I've said, still not positive that the ground offensive will go forward, although we are being told of a lot of people that it 100% is. But also up in the north, we have that Israeli Defence Force has begun to construct a number of field hospitals and trauma centres in the upper and lower regions of northern Israel, likely in preparation for the increase in hostilities from Hezbollah across the border into Lebanon. So, of course, they're being built in Israel if there is more pushes from Hezbollah from Lebanon into Israel. Not only ground pushes, but with artillery, rockets, with drones. We have seen these Iranian equipment, although cheap, although maybe it's not what we would see come out of a bloody General Dynamics Lockheed Martin ad, it is incredibly effective. So all in all, what it really feels like, the whole of Israel feels like they're waiting for what the next step of this actually is. We have had announcements saying that the steps currently that are complete. Now, we don't know what these stages are. We heard on the second day of the war that the first stage was complete, but we don't know what these stages actually are. Everyone is, I guess, presuming the next stage is the ground invasion into Gaza, which I think a lot of people think that's going to be a lot easier than it is. You've got hundreds of kilometers of tunnels deep. You're not going to have the superiority of the armor, the air that you have currently when you go down under the ground, clearing tunnels like that. But it seems that everyone is waiting for what comes next, and every Israeli is pushing that they are saying that they have to do it. They're saying the government has no other choice but to do it and finally get rid of Hamas. That is what everyone we've spoken to have said, that that is the only way moving forward. That said, I don't know, it will keep coming forward from here. We don't know the next steps, and it could be the left and right of really anything of what we see. But it's just sad that it has come to this, that we now have thousands upon thousands of killed civilians in another war that didn't have to happen. Anyway, I appreciate your time with me, and please enjoy this young lad's story that made it out of the festival near Uri. Thank you.